going on, everyone? Welcome back to episode 4 of Unfiltered Faith. And today, it's just going to be me. I thought it was good, for me to come on here and share my testimony. I'm going to get very vulnerable, because a lot of people don't know these things about me. And so I'm really hoping that this will help somebody who feels like they have no one to go to. I feel like this will, encourage somebody who is really feeling down in the moment. But getting straight into it, I'd say taking it all the way back to 8th grade. 8th grade is really, the time that it started. And maybe even before that, honestly. We can take it back all the way to 5th grade, 6th grade. 5th grade, I developed a very bad, not at the moment, not at that time. It wasn't anything severe, but I mean, even as a 5th grader, you shouldn't be putting your eyes on those things. But in 5th grade, I developed a pornography addiction. And, I, going through, middle school, I didn't really do anything, too major up until about, I'd say 8th grade. 8th grade is when really, things started hitting me hard. I started vaping. I got addicted to nicotine. I started smoking weed. And, and I had no business doing those things, it wasn't like I was, it's not like I had a hard life necessarily. It was just me being ignorant, me being, falling into the wrong place. And, so I'll continue from 8th grade on, it wasn't anything severe. I wouldn't do it, every day. I wouldn't do it, all the time. But it was only when I was with the group of friends that I would hang out with. And then leading into high school, I wouldn't say 9th grade, it wasn't anything too crazy. It probably picked up a little bit. But going on through, sophomore year, I'd say vaping at least freshman year, that did pick up. I started doing it myself. I had my own vapes, but I would never smoke weed really by myself during those times. But sophomore year, I'd say that's when it probably really picked up, and it got to the point to where all day during school I'd be high. Football practice, I'd be high. I'd go home. I'd be sober for a few hours until my parents went to sleep. But then I'd go right back to it again. I'd be high again. And that carried on for a long time, man. I mean, that went on sophomore, junior, senior year. And really all the way up until, I'd say last year. Yeah, I mean, that went for almost 4 years consecutively of, just being high I wouldn't say all the time, because, there are some times that I wouldn't do it. And people will think, pastors' kids are okay, they have all the help they need. They live this good life. And that is true, I did live a good life. And I probably did have the people I needed. I did have the people I needed. But I was so scared. I was scared to go to anybody, because I didn't want these people to look at me differently. And, I'd say also, about sophomore, junior year, I started drinking. I'd be at a party, and, I'd have drinks, and I'd get pretty drunk, and just this whole time going through all of that, I was scared. And it really made me feel empty, like I would do it and I'd feel great, feel all good in the moment. But then as soon as it went away, it left me very empty. And I just, honestly, I felt like I had no purpose. I felt like, there was like nothing for me in this life. And it led me down a very dark path that virtually nobody saw, because every week I'd go to church, put on this smile on my face, and act like everything was okay, but on the inside it wasn't. And I struggled with that for a long time. And one of probably the worst things that happened during those times is I felt like I felt no sense of like love. I became very dependent on friends. I became very dependent to people. And I wouldn't say, I never had suicidal thoughts. I never felt that type of way, but I would say, a form of depression. I wouldn't be depressed when I was with my friends, but when I was in my room alone, nobody to talk to, that was some of the worst times that I would say I ever experienced. It was rough because I was very dependent on people. I was very dependent. If I wasn't with anybody, I wouldn't be happy. I would just lay in my bed and honestly I felt empty the whole time if I wasn't with anybody. And what led to that, or what came from that, is I felt like I would never find love. There's multiple times in my life when I got, used by a female. I got played by a girl. And it gave me very bad trust issues. I felt like that I couldn't trust anyone. I felt like that something would happen and I felt like that was it. I felt like that person would just leave me, because that happened to me multiple different times. And it was really hard because during all this going on, I felt like I had nobody. I couldn't go to anyone in the church. At least I felt that way, because I have to have this look, as some people will say, like I have to carry myself a certain way because I'm the pastor's kid. I can't go to these people talking about this, or they'll think something badly of my dad. And I didn't want that. My parents were great people. They are great people. They would never condone, any of that. And even my parents don't know about these things until this video comes out. And so, like, everything that I did and I went through, it felt like I was all alone, because I had all these thoughts. You can't go talk to that person, though. They'll tell your dad, you can't go to that person. They'll think of you this way, like, and it was just a very, very dark place to be in. And there's probably only 2 people that are currently in the church that know about this, like these things, to this day. And I got told by someone, they was like, you got to let this stuff go, man. It's time to move forward. I've already repented. Like, it's time to move forward. And that's why I'm making this today. Honestly, that's one of the reasons, is because I feel like I'll never be able to move past this unless I put it out there to where I'm not having to worry about these people finding out things about me. Because, I don't want people knowing these things at the end of the day. Like, I don't want people to know I was addicted to smoking weed for 4 years and I couldn't stop and I didn't feel happy unless I was. But, at the same time, this could help somebody else who may be afraid, to actually step out and reach out for that first bit of help. And it was a struggle, man. The whole time I claimed I was a Christian. I'd go to church every Sunday, but the Elder Chris today said something in church. He said he was serving the devil. And, with my mouth, I proclaimed I was serving God, but with my actions, I was serving the devil. Like, none of my friends at school, really knew that I was a pastor's kid. None of the people at school knew that I went to church. None of the people at school even really knew I was a Christian. Like, I was a Christian, there was never a point where I was like, oh, God is not real. But, even going back before high school, there's times during Halloween, you can say whatever you want, I don't really care, but my friends did a haunted house, and I would help out in there. Like, I would never dress up or anything like that because my parents wouldn't let me. And I remember during Halloween, I was like, why did you have to put me? I was just thinking, not I wasn't talking to God, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, why did I have to end up in a pastor's family? And looking back on that hurts so much to even say, because I love my parents, I've always loved them. And I don't know what that was. I don't know why I said that, to myself. And it was all over not being able to wear a mask. Obviously, there's different reasons. There are certain things I always couldn't do as a kid that I didn't understand at the time. And, I was so angry. I was why do I have to, do all these things? Why do I have to go to church every Sunday? Why do I have to be inside the church every single time the doors are open? And I don't think that you have to. I don't think that anyone has to be in the church every time the doors are open. But I was just so angry over all these things, and I was so mad. I honestly, probably at that time wished that I wasn't a part of a Christian family. And that sounds so bad, thinking about it now. But I never wanted, I didn't really truly mean that, but I thought I did at that time. And, that was just, I don't know why that came to my head, but it did. And, I guess going back to, high school, there was sometimes where I would show up to church high, and it was so bad. It's so bad to even think about the things I was doing. I was living terrible, but yet I'd go to church every Sunday oh, I'm doing just fine, I'm doing great. But in reality, I was probably doing the worst out of most people that were in the church mentally. And, I just, whoever's, listening to this and is going through something, and you feel like you can't reach out to anybody, you can. And I wish I would have, because obviously, as a kid, I was worried about discipline. I was worried about getting disciplined. I was worried about all these things. Yes, it may be bad not even bad. It may feel bad to you for that moment in time, but the long term of it, it's gonna be okay, and it's gonna help you, honestly. And that's to the people that may be struggling, and this is to the parents who may be watching this that have no idea that their kids are going through something. Don't get mad. That doesn't do anything. I promise you. You getting upset at them, you saying all these things to them, that doesn't do anything. Please just sit down. If you can tell that your son, your daughter is struggling, please just sit down with them. Be like, I'm here for you. I'm here to protect you. And I can't do those things if I don't know what's going on. And if they do open up to you, then don't lash out at them. Be like, okay, I'm here for you. Like, we're gonna get through this. Because that was the number one fear I had the whole time. Was, thinking, oh, well, if I go to my parents, I'm gonna be in trouble for the rest of my life, and it's not like I wanted to cry out for help. When I was by myself, I did. But when I was with people, when I was having fun, when I was doing all these things, I could care less, honestly. Like, people say it's fun for a time, which, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and disagree, because there was times when I had a lot of fun, but at the end of the day, the only thing it's gonna leave you with is emptiness, sadness, evil thoughts. Honestly, I mean, that's all it'll leave you with. And I just encourage you, don't get into it. It's not worth it. It may look fun from the outside, but on the inside, it's not fun. You'll be freaking out whenever you feel like you lost something, you can't find it, you don't know what you did with it. Your heart rate starts going up. Like, that's God. You think God wanted you to be dependent, and your emotions to be dependent on a substance, on a device? No. And I'm not saying vaping is necessarily bad if you're over 21. But are you holding the Bible in your hand more than you're holding the vape? Are you holding the vape more than you're holding the Bible? Because at that point, then that becomes an idol. And it is bad at that point. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I didn't really vape too much recently, but it was more of like nicotine pouches. I'd say, I'm gonna be real transparent, I stopped that 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago from tomorrow. And the reason I stopped is because of a sermon that, my pastor talked about. He said, he's preaching on Mark, I don't know exactly what it is, but when blind Bartimaeus, he healed him, and he said he threw away his beggar's mat. Every single person that followed Jesus had to throw something away. And in my heart, not my heart, but God telling me, I felt like that was what it was. So I stopped it, and I haven't touched anything since then. And so, I just hope that you can do better than whoever's watching this can do better than me, and take that step and really reach out for help, because I never did. I had to go down the altar, and that's how I got out of it. I told God, I said, God, I can't do this anymore. I said, I can't take it. I said, I don't enjoy life anymore. Like, unless I'm high. I can't eat food anymore unless I'm high. I can't sleep anymore unless I'm high. And it was just so bad, because you're not supposed to live like that. And I don't want to sound negative, because God healed me. God took everything away from me, and I haven't had a craving for any of it since. Like, alcohol, it's been over a year since I've drank. Weed, it's been about 3 months. Yeah, I'd say 2.5, 3 months now. And by the way, I lost a great job. That's another thing. I lost a great job that really would have done me really well, because of consequences from my past. I had to take a drug test. I thought I'd be fine. It'd been 2 months since I stopped smoking. I thought I'd be fine. Went in, took it. A week later, I get results back saying I failed. And I lost that job because of that. And, I'm not saying that's why you should stop, but, like, I lost a great opportunity in life just because I couldn't get over an addiction. which, I mean, I have a job now, so, it's, God worked it out. And honestly, from that situation, it taught me to be a lot more dependent on God. My prayer time looks a lot different now. I read the Bible every day, and those are big things, like, because if you fill your mind with that type of stuff constantly, the devil has no room to slip in unless you allow empty time to where he can slip in and give you those thoughts. When I was working, I'd throw on a podcast. I'd listen to a Christian podcast. That helped me. I would, instead of listening to rap, all these different types of music, I'd throw on Christian music. I'm not saying everyone has to listen to Christian music, but some people probably need to. It's a big help for, different things. And, I just don't want somebody to fall down the same path I did, because it led to nothing but emptiness, hate, sadness. Like, no one knew either. That's the crazy part. Like, that whole time I kept all of that to myself, and that's probably my biggest regret, honestly. Like, that's my biggest regret. I just wish I would have reached out to somebody. I had people I could have reached out to, but one thing Satan does is he'll try and isolate you as much as possible, because once he isolates you, he's got you right where he wants you. He can slip in there, start putting all these negative, bad thoughts in your head, and that's probably the number one way he gets people, is by isolation. And that's what he did to me. He made it feel like I had nobody to reach out to. He made it feel like, if I reached out to these people, I'd be looked at differently. I honestly thought that if I went and talked to somebody, that I would lose the people around me, because, like, church-wise, because, I felt like the things I was doing was the worst things in the world for whatever reason. Like, I mean, yeah, it's bad, but realistically, there's a lot worse things that I could have been doing. And, I hope that, this helps somebody. And, now I'm just doing so much better. I actually enjoy life for what it is now. I've 100% completely served God, and I don't serve the devil anymore. I really hope that this helps somebody, because I don't want anyone to feel like they have to go through, the pain that I felt, because realistically, you don't have to. You can find that help. You can come to Jesus and the altar a lot quicker than I did. And luckily, that didn't lead to anything else, because a lot of people who do start with weed, they go down a long path of a lot of bad things. And luckily, I didn't. I wasn't one of those people. So please just, reach out and get help. And if you are somebody that a person reaches out to you, don't judge. Nowhere in the Bible, in the Bible it says a man shouldn't judge any man, because every single sin is the same to God, no matter if you're lying, if you're gossiping, if you're, sticking a needle in your arm. All of that is the exact same to God in his eyes. So why are you judging? Like, don't judge if someone comes to you, and if you need someone to reach out to, like, I am 100%, I will always answer that phone call. I will always sit down and talk with you. I will always go out and, eat and just listen and be there for you. And I will never judge you, because I know what it feels like to feel like that people will judge you for, the things that you've done. So, I I just really hope that, you know, someone will listen to this and they'll take that first step of help. And so I'm just going to pray, and I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. I know it wasn't probably very long, which is okay. I got what I needed to say out of the way, so I'm going to pray real quick. God, I come to you right now and just ask for, you know, whoever may be listening to this, that they may be able to take that first step and reach out to that person and get some help for what they're going through. And God, I ask on the other end of that, you know, when that person does reach out to somebody, that the person they reach out to will be open, will be caring, will be supportive, will show them the right from wrong, but not in a judgmental way, God. They'll have open arms, they'll love the person. And God, I just ask that, you know, whoever is watching this, you may slowly grow a connection with them, God. And I just pray for whoever's watching this that they are blessed, God. In Jesus' name, amen. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode today. If y'all did, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the video so we can get it out there to more people. And I have some exciting people coming on here soon. I have some plans for some good people. Yeah, I know that. I'm gonna get on here. So stay tuned for that. I love y'all. Have a great rest of y'all's day.